Whenever she came home from the hospital, I thought she was, just a normal baby. She was my third child, and she started throwing up all the time. So I took her into the emergency room, and at that time she was diagnosed with her heart defects. We didn't know, exactly what they were, but they flew us to Denver Children's Hospital within about 2 hours of arriving to the hospital. They decided to do a PA band, pulmonary artery band, at that time. The surgery went fairly well. It's fairly straightforward. We came back to Kansas, and then at about 2.5 years of age, she started turning blue again. We were in the hospital for about 5 weeks after the Fontan, and at that time she was recovering from a small stroke. Then at 7, I started noticing swelling, and she would wake up with her face just, swelled up. And during the day, it would go down as she sat up and, she stayed upright. Her, swelling would go down. But then after, about 2 weeks of that, they put a pacemaker in, and the pacemaker had to be open heart, since the way her anatomy was from the single ventricle. That was her 4th open heart surgery. So about 2 years after that, she was 9 years old, and it seemed like the protein-losing enteropathy was just starting to take a toll on her body. And the cardiologist said, well, the next option and the only thing we have left is a heart transplant. Sasha and I had to relocate to Denver. We stayed at the Ronald McDonald House there in Aurora, Colorado. She was listed as a 1B, which is the second most critical on the transplant list. The past 5 or 6 months have been a major hardship for my family. I want to thank everyone who has helped us. We're going through a lot with Sasha being so ill, not knowing what the future holds for her and our family being separated. Seeing my child too weak to walk around anymore, hooked to a continuous cardiac drip, and feel terrible 90% of the time is hard. And having 4 kids at home 500 miles away without a mom is heartbreaking for me too. I would not wish this situation on anyone, but do find comfort in knowing I have wonderful friends backing me up. This year, I have so much to be thankful for and seen the generosity of so many. Thank you to everyone who has helped to make Christmas a wonderful time for my kids. I ask that you continue to pray for Sasha to receive her gift of a new heart soon. Please pray for the donor family too, as they will be going through what none of us ever want to imagine. Wishing each of you a joyous Christmas. December 19th, we got a phone call around 10 o'clock in the evening. I said, this is it. This is what we've been waiting. I've had my phone by me for the last 6 months, and I have not gotten this call, and here it is. This is it. And I told Sasha, I said, Sasha, I think this is a call. And she said, yes, Mom, I think it is. Called my husband as soon as we were, in the car and headed to the hospital, and he was here in Kansas, 8 hours away, 500 miles away. And I said, I know you haven't slept at all today, but you need to get in the car and drive up here. Sasha's got her heart. We really want you to be here before she goes into surgery, and they're talking that, it'll be first thing tomorrow morning. He showed up at 7 o'clock that morning after driving all night. He gave Sasha a hug, and pretty much they took her back. Thank you for all the prayers. Sasha got the call for her heart last night. She's in the OR now. Please keep praying for her and the donor family. The surgery will take most of the day. I think it was probably around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening before she got out of surgery. She looked about the same as she did after her other 4 surgeries. We had the experience of seeing her with the tubes and all of the IVs and the lines, going every which way. So that wasn't a shock. What was a shock, though, is she had color this time. She had been so blue, purple. She was pink for the first time in a long time. The next day, they woke her up. They took off the sedation. They got her, moving around a bit, setting up. They gave her something to drink, and at that time, she started to choke. So we had the specialist come in. They looked down her throat with a camera and noticed that her vocal cord was not working right. At that time, we knew that her vocal cord was paralyzed from the heart transplant. After she was released from the hospital from her heart transplant, we stayed there in Denver for around 3 months. She did cardiac rehab. We, still did our every 2-week appointments there at the Children's Hospital. And then the 3-month mark came, and the cardiologist and the transplant coordinator decided, that Sasha was well enough to go home. Well, since March, since coming home, Sasha has grown 4 inches. So to go 2, almost 3 years and grow half an inch, and then do 6 months, 7 months, and grow 4 inches, that's amazing. This transplant has helped her so much. She's blossomed since she's had the heart transplant.
The first thing I wanted to do after I got my heart was swim. I went down this really big slide, and a lot of my friends came and had this big cake.
Well, my dream for Sasha is for her to grow up and do whatever she wants to do. She's such a strong child. She's always smiling. Through all of this, she has not lost, that sparkle. I would like to say thank you to everybody who's given to the American Heart Association. It means a lot to families like ours. It's allowed their children to have a better quality of life. The quality of life is so important to us, but we want our children to actually live and be able to enjoy life and do the things that they want to do. And with the gifts and the donations that's been given, throughout the years, we're here because of that. My daughter Sasha is here because of that.
Thank you for helping me.